everybody. Welcome to the Brownie Knits episode for September 2020. I am your host, Gina, aka Brownie Knits. This is my little cabochon, Lorelai. We thought we would pop in this morning. Actually, it's a little bit more like early afternoon, and say hello, share some knitted goodies with you guys, and talk about some of our cloths for the Gilmore Cloth Cow. So, she's like going to go to sleep right there. So first off, I'd like to share I finished my ink and brass sweater, and this is by the designer Dani Sunshine. Isn't that a great name? I just thought that was fun. So so it's ink and brass, and it's knit out of a fingering weight yarn, and the way that the pattern was written, it was more fitted, and I wanted an oversized, more like a tunic type of sweater. So instead of making the large or the extra large, I made the 2X and then added length. So it's really, really roomy on me. There's lots of extra space, and it's just super cozy. You can't see down, but really it's just stripes all the way down. The rib work is at the neck, and then on the cuffs at the and then at the bottom of the sweater. I knitted it on a 3 and a 5 as per the pattern. And I used Knit Picks Stroll in their white and navy. So it turned out really well, and I absolutely love it. It's comfy, it's super easy. I'll probably wear it 3 out of the 4 seasons of the year. So I really enjoy it. And it was just really a nice, relaxing knit. Once you got past the yoke, it was just a lot of stockinette. You know, you had your so many rounds per stripe, but other than that, you didn't really have to pay too much attention. And the sleeves were done in the round, just decreasing down as you go. Super simple. My favorite thing about the pattern itself, you'll notice that this first navy stripe connects to the navy rib, and you can actually, I almost made this in reverse. I almost did white for the rib and then had that be like the main color. But anyway, but you can see here, I did a better job on this side than I did here. But you do short rows so that your back is longer, and because we all have that back creep where it rides up on your sweaters. So she wrote it to include short rows. And she did, I think she did German short rows, which super, super easy. I love that short row technique. So you do your short rows up to a certain point. So you get this really cool little pointed feature here, and then your rib color connects to your top stripe color. So it was I really like that. It fits really well. It totally takes care of any of that back creep. And yeah, like I said, I made it super long, even with that extra length. I didn't really use that much additional yarn. I think the yarn that I got comes in I think it's around 200 yards per ball. So I had one extra ball of each color beyond what she said, and that was plenty for me to get the additional length that I wanted. Now I'm also super short, so you can take that into account. But yeah, so it was nice to finish up the summer and have 2 new sweaters that I made, because I showed you my what's the name of that pattern? Seaboard sweater in the last, or seaside sweater in the last podcast episode that I had up. So and then beyond that, I have like a little stranded knitted hat that I'm working on, and it's going super slow. I love the look of stranded knitting. I don't find it difficult to do stranded knitting, but This is kind of funny. It's a knitting related injury. So years ago, I got hired to do some test swatches for what was sort of like a Stitch encyclopedia type of knitting book. And they needed somebody to do some of the intarsia, which I hate intarsia. But they wanted somebody to do some of the intarsia and some of the Fair Isle test swatches. And so I did that. And it was under deadline, and it was a rush project and all of those things. And I just, I would do that as soon as I would wake up until I went to bed, and for, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks straight every day. And I got my neck locked, and I don't know exactly what all happened, but it was kind of locked in place, and it would shoot down this pain from my shoulder. And I ended up having to have physical therapy to loosen it and to then let it heal. So they actually did, I don't even think they do this technique now, but the thing that actually worked, because they tried like everything, the thing that actually worked for me was this, and it's something technique, but it looked like a knife with blunt edges, rounded edges, and they scrape it across the area, and it brings all the bruising to the top of the skin. Like I said, I think it's kind of maybe controversial. I don't know if they do it anymore. Although relatively, this was not that long ago. But it brought I looked like I'd been in a car accident. It was so bruised and everything. But it actually healed after that. That was the only way that they got it to heal. So now when I do stranded knitting, it starts to kind of flare up. And I have to do this where I get the crunch in my shoulder kind of massaged out so that my neck doesn't get stuck. So as much as I love doing stranded and Fair Isle knitting, I don't know if I can do much more. It has the pattern that I have that I'm working on is a hat and matching mittens. And I went into it thinking I'd make both, and I think I'm just going to make the hat. And so I've been doing just a couple of rounds a day, where normally I would just make a hat in an afternoon. This is taking weeks. So I'm working on that, and then I have a blanket that I'm making. So I'm finding that I'm not knitting or crocheting nearly as much as I used to. I'm reading more. Reading was kind of my first love in my life, so I kind of fallen back into that. But before I fell into that super in depth, I did design the rest of the cloth patterns for the Gilmore cloth cowl that a lot of you who are watching have been doing this year. 2020, when I went into it, I thought I'm going to relaunch Brownie Knits. I'm going to do these free patterns every month that are dishcloths, washcloths based on Gilmore Girls, and we'll release them at the beginning of each month. And it'll be just like a fun little thing, and it'll inspire me to design more and knit more and all that other stuff. She's just gonna go take a nap. So, none of us predicted what 2020 was actually going to be like, and it's been pretty painful. But I did finish up the design for the cloths, and what I've been doing is releasing one a month. So that means that we're coming up on the release for the October one. And so I'm going to show you that. But I'm also on October 1st going to release the patterns for what would have been November and December. The reason I'm going to do that is at the end of 2020, I am going to shut down the brownieknits.com website and the Etsy store. You will always still be able to get the patterns from Ravelry, and but my Facebook group for Brownie Knits and the website and my Etsy shop I'm going to shut down, because like I said, I'm finding that I'm spending most of my time reading, and it just doesn't feel like I'm giving everything I should be to Brownie Knits. And and it's not free to do all those things, so just trying to cut my own costs a little bit if I'm not going to be full force. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and release all of the 3 remaining patterns on October 1st, so that if you prefer to go to the brownieknits.com website to download them, you absolutely can do that through December 31st, 2020. All right, so Lorelai, should we talk about Lorelai Scarf? Yeah, the first pattern. So in Gilmore Girls, in the TV show Gilmore Girls, Lorelai is often seen all over Stars Hollow in her hand-knit scarves. And we know from the episode with the knitting marathon for the bridge money that a lot of the ladies and men in Stars Hollow craft and knit specifically. And I felt like the most famous of Lorelai's knits that she wears is her blue scarf with kind of this little like checked pattern, I guess you could call it. She wears it with her black coat. I feel like it was in some of the scenes where she's standing out in the snow and smelling the snow and all of that. So, so that's what inspired this cloth, which is called Lorelai's Scarf cloth. And this particular one is knitted out of Lily Sugar and Cream in the light blue colorway. I thought that was the closest blue to, because her scarf, depending on what photos and stills of the shots in the episodes that you see, it's either like this kind of color blue, maybe like a cornflower blue. Some of them it's purple. I think those may have been manipulated shots, like filtered. When I watch the actual episodes on my TV, they always look blue. Anyway, so it has the garter around the edges to make it lay flat, and then it has the pattern that kind of is in the body of Lorelai's scarf in the center. So it's just really pretty. It's a very simple pattern to do, knits up incredibly fast, and it's also very good for scrubbing because it has a lot of texture to it. Here it is knitted on the color Jute, also Lily Sugar and Cream, but in Jute. And yeah, I think this would be a great one if you are looking at something, whether or not they're a Gilmore Girls fan or not. You wouldn't have to be for this kind of pattern. I think this would be a great cloth to knit up and put with some like soaps as a Christmas gift for somebody. Just a thought. So again, that's the Lorelai's Scarf cloth. It'll be out on October 1st and will always be free. The next one, she's just like sinking. Are you too super tired today? Are you tired? You just want me to leave you alone to take a nap? The next one is inspired by Sookie St. James, because of course we had to have Sookie included in our Stars Hollow Gilmore Girls cloths. Now, I'm gonna start this with a disclaimer because I don't want anybody to misunderstand and get injured by this one. It is not an oven mitt. It's meant to be a cleaning utensil. It's meant to be a bath mitt or I guess you could use it to wash dishes with, just like a scrubber. So this is the Sookie's Mitt on Fire pattern. So again, it uses Lily Sugar and Cream in red and white. This is provided in both written and charted format. It does use some stranding down here. It's knitted in the round, so you could either use 2 circulars, you could use double points if you want. I prefer magic loop, so that's what I did. The pattern is over the stitches for one side, and then it's doubled, so you just do it twice, and that's all explained in the pattern itself. But you've got these flames coming up because we all know Sookie was accident prone in the kitchen. She set the kitchen on fire more than once, and so I thought it was really appropriate that we would have something like this as a little nod to Sookie St. James. Again, please do not use it as an oven mitt. It is not meant to be that way. It is meant to be a cleaning cloth. So there you go, and I have kind of two. So I used white and red, and out of that I got 2 mitts out of the white and then the red as well, but I also had a lot of red left over. So I thought these were really fun. They were kind of entertaining to knit and design. And we had to have that nod to Lorelai's best friend. So, and I really, when I was thinking about all of the cloth patterns, that I wanted to put out, I wanted to save the most iconic thing out of Gilmore Girls until the end. We end episode 1 of the pilot here. It's a huge part of the show, and so not just Luke himself, but his diner is. So the final cloth is Luke's cloth, and it is made out of lily sugar and cream as well. And the color, the burgundy type color, is wine. And the yellow is actually country yellow because it has more of a muted yellow. The lily sugar and cream yellow, just plain yellow, is like what I used on for the daisies, for the 1,000 Yellow Daisies cloth. This is the country yellow, so this is more of the muted. If you watch some of the episodes, and they had some redesigns here and there, but in some of the episodes, Luke's menus are like this maroon burgundy color, and so that's why I went with that. And then we had to do the coffee mugs because, of course, Lorelai and Rory drink tons of coffee. They love to go eat at Luke's Diner. The town itself is centered around Luke's Diner, and Luke himself is a huge player. So I just felt like it was probably the most iconic thing. Like, you see this and it's the Gilmore Girls. So the way I designed this, the background cloth is super simple. It's just a stockinette stitch center surrounded by garter. And then to make the cup and saucer, you make the saucer separately and then the cup body separately. And those are then laid on top of each other for seaming down. And you make this little piece over here, the cup handle, separately as well. The cup handle itself is I-cord. So I have instructions in there how to do that. Once you have all the pieces made, so you have the 4 separate pieces made, I tell you how to layer them down, and then I offer suggestions for how to seam them down. And once you have them seamed down, which is really just kind of like a whip stitch, it's very simple and easy, then I tell you how to embroider on the word Luke's, which is super easy. I'm a disaster when I try to embroider stuff. So trust me, this is like the simplest you can get, like super, super like 2nd grade 4-H club kind of stuff. So yeah, and here is another example. So they don't all have to look uniform. You can see the Luke's on this one is a little bit different than this one. And you can angle the cup or not, and the saucer, it's totally up to you. So those, like I said, will all 3 be out on October 1st, 2020 for free, and they'll be up in Ravelry. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy them. In the pattern photos that'll be in there, I think all of them have little cameos of Lorelai the Cavachon in them, except for maybe the Sookie's on fire. I think she wasn't feeling well the day that I did photos of that one. But yeah, she definitely, some of my favorite photos of her actually are helping to model the Luke's cloth. So there you go. So all of those will be up October 1st, 2020 in Ravelry for free. They will always be there for free, but they will also be on brownieknits.com through the end of 2020. And then, like I said, after that, my website, the Brownie Knits Facebook group, and the Etsy store will all come down. But if you're still interested in following along with what I have going on in my life, then you can follow me on Instagram. Currently, my Instagram account is Brownie Knits, but you can also search for Gina Knaus, Gina Knous. You get lots of Lorelai the Cavachon photos, peeks of what I'm knitting and crocheting, and then lots of stuff about what I'm reading. So, yeah, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the cloth knit along this year, and that you are staying well and safe and happy and healthy. We're doing our best to do that around my household as well, which means a lot of staying home, which is starting to get at us a little bit. But we're doing, everybody is doing what they have to right now, right? So thank you for taking a few minutes to sit down and visit with Lorelai and I. And you never know, I might pop back in on the podcast channel every now and then to say hello, see what you guys are up to, share what we're doing. So yeah, until then, happy knitting, crocheting, reading, and stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.